When did you realize your friends were actually fake friends? Finding out they have an inner circle group chat, but I'm the only one not in it. Same. I found out that they had two groups, one with me and one without. They never used the one with me though. When my phone got stolen and I lost their phone numbers, mine stayed the same, but we just never talked again. I was invited to the bachelorette party for one of the friends in this group. While at the party, I figured out that I was the only person not invited to the wedding. I had been invited to the party because they needed another person to chip in for expenses. One friend stopped replying to my texts right after we graduated from college, like the same week we graduated. So I was pretty much just a study buddy that they kept close to keep me helping them. I would not say I have fake friends, but I am definitely the periphery friend. The majority of the time, if there is not enough tickets or space in the car for everyone to go do something, I am the one who gets cut out. It does not bother me much, but I wish they would be more mindful when talking to me about things we have done. Remember when we went to see X? Was not that fun? Well, no, because I was not invited. In those situations, it usually gets awkward, or they say, "Hey, we would have invited you if we had the tickets, space, etc." This was quite a few years ago. My ex and I were really friendly with another couple. We did a ton of stuff together. Then they moved, not far, and fairly shortly after, my ex and I separated. They hung out with me for a few months, but then they stopped calling. A few years later, I ran into both of them at a race, an ultramarathon, and they both pretended like they did not know me. That was actually a really painful moment. The group made plans to meet and hang out. I was getting ready in the salon. A couple of friends had to back out for some reason. The other friend then made excuses of his own, and I could tell. I tried cajoling him and offering ways for him to go, but he basically decided to cancel the entire group meetup. It was my birthday. The same thing happened to me on my 21st birthday. All my friends made up excuses why they could not come. Then the three friends that did come met some guys, and we went back to their house and awkwardly sat around. It happened again for my 25th birthday. I had moved across the country and found new friends, but they all bailed at the last minute. I called my roommate at the time, who came out when he got off work, and he called some of his friends who came out. I ended up having the best night ever. Those guys are now my real friends, and I married that roommate. When they stopped contacting me when I stopped drinking, I feel this. Used to have countless friends, went out all the time, lost control of myself, and quit. Friends stopped calling. Now I'm a weird eccentric who hangs out in the woods in all my free time. Things are better this way. I have a couple friends who stuck around and the girl of my dreams. That's all I need. When I realized I was the one always calling, whenever we were supposed to hang out, something came up and that something was hanging out with other mutual friends. When I was in school, all my friends and I did different A-levels. Despite us all having different lessons from each other, they would wait for each other to go to lunch together, but they would always forget me. Like I'd come out and they wouldn't be there, so I'd have lunch by myself. And then they'd come back and tell me they thought I was with them. I was the only one they didn't wait for. I've only seen one of them since we left school. She had forgotten my name, so that sucked. When you try to open up and share a genuine conversation about something going on in your life, and all they can do is crack jokes and try to get you to go out drinking with them, it made me realize how surface level many friendships really are. Then you have the opposite of that. 3 guys I've known since I was a freshman in high school. We've been friends for over 15 years. We've stayed in touch through all of us getting married, having kids, and moving to completely separate areas of the country. Yet, whenever we're within an hour of each other, we always make a point to get breakfast and catch up. This usually turns into 3+ hour conversations. This may only happen once or twice a year, but I consider those guys my best friends. That's real friendship, and I'm fortunate to have them. My friends from high school all unfollowed me when I graduated college. I'm the only one who no longer lives in our hometown. I was at a party, really depressed after a bad breakup, and got drunk. My abusive ex showed up, caught me somewhere alone, and hit me. I begged several friends for help since I was too drunk to drive home alone, and they ignored me. My ex-best friend was there, completely sober, and refused to drive home with me because she didn't believe he would do that. There's no Uber or anything in my country, by the way. The whole thing escalated, and one guy I didn't know ended up finding me alone in a field crying and throwing up. He brought me back to the house, built a bed out of blankets for me, and sat guard all night to make sure my ex wouldn't do anything again. I flew out to support a friend going through a messy divorce. While I was there, she left me in the apartment to meet up with her boyfriend that I didn't know about. He turned out to have just been released from prison for manslaughter. Once she told me that, I told her that I didn't want to spend time with him, especially considering the circumstances of my visit. The next night, I woke up in the middle of the night to find him in the living room. She said that she thought it wouldn't matter since I was asleep. The next day, she invited her soon-to-be ex-husband over without telling me, and then asked me to mediate their conversation once he got there. That conversation turned ugly fast, and she ended up storming out. He broke down and asked if I thought it was salvageable, and I told him that she had already moved on. Maybe not the best idea on my part, but at that point she had shown me how vile of a person she is. When I was babysitting her kids, things were going great. We would hang out all the time, have movie nights, and just talk and chill. But the second she no longer needed a babysitter was the second I got kicked to the curb. No explanation, not even a text back. Some people will act like your best friend until they no longer need you. They're lost though. For me, it was when I got in some deep trouble and they all just cast me aside without even giving it a second thought. I realized this when I invited all of them to go to the movies with me and they all said they couldn't go. I then found out through one of them that they went to see that movie the same day. And when I asked then why they didn't tell me they were going, they said, "We just wanted to go together." Shit broke my heart. Back in my first year of college, I used to have a group of friends, like 7 dudes with me included. We always hang out together, and we're used to have this group chat where we discuss about anything from class subjects to random things. After a year, I noticed that one of the guys, let's just call him Randy, keeps getting excluded. Not invited, informed to group hangout while they're talking smack behind his back. And the unofficial leader of the group actually made a whole new group chat, inviting everyone, myself included, except Randy without his knowledge. I know what it feels to be left out. I experienced that in middle school, and it's really awful. I stopped hanging out with them, and I start hanging out with Randy. He's quite eccentric, but a very good person at heart. We've been friends for more than 6 years, and he still got my back. A lot of so-called friends aren't real friends. They're more like acquaintances. People you know and are civil with. There's at least one that is fake, though. He or she has you in their life solely to benefit from. It can be financially, it can be emotionally. It can just be because he or she thrives on your failures. Some people keep you around as something to gawk at. Harsh, but true. When I realized literally just being in the same room as that person made me miserable. It's because the person was extremely self-conscious, to the point that they would overcompensate by putting others down every little chance they had, to make themselves feel above. I kept wondering why they would keep throwing me under the bus for no reason. Like we had been friends for years. Why would they treat me like this? It took me years to figure out exactly how bad of a friend they were, no matter how hard they pretend not to be. It took me an entire year of ghosting to stop being friends with that person because they loved putting me down so much they wouldn't stop calling me, texting me, trying to contact me for a year with no responses because they could not understand how someone could possibly want to stop hanging out with them because they are so perfect. When I broke up with my long-term boyfriend, the guy I thought had been my best friend of 3 years gave me 2 weeks before saying, "Is it my turn yet?" Fucking garbage. Went to pick up my Xbox 360 a friend was borrowing, and our whole group of friends were there. They had spent the entire day playing games with snacks and pizza, and I had not been invited. And now I was in the situation of being the douche who takes the ball home and ruins the fun for everyone. I took my Xbox and never spoke to anyone in that group again. And they abandoned me when I was going through a rough time, when I spent years listening and supporting them. When I have my first true moment where I am not coping and need support, they are nowhere to be seen and bitching behind my back. This is when I realized my high school friends never had grown up past high school. Luckily, I had other friends. just not a large girl group like that. But I can actually say that every friend I have, I know they have my back and won't judge me if I am not always happy. And the same for me. I have always had very high expectations of myself as a friend, and I feel that everyone I call a friend is someone that brings something special to my life. That is worth more than having a huge group of bitchy girlfriends who turn on each other when they are out of the room. It took me a long time to realize it, though. When my longtime friend called me and said, "Hey, can you hang out?" No one else can. When you lose your worth to them, for instance, you are going through a dark period in your life, then they just leave like you are a worthless bag of dust. When they walked past me crying and pretended I didn't exist. My friends made a Facebook account for a fake girl who was transferring to our school and full-on catfished me, only revealing it was a scam when I arrived at a movie theater to meet her. Was I dumb? Yes. Were they shitty? Undoubtedly.